Hear ye, and welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I'm your host tonight, Justin Sandoval, a.k.a. Sandy. That's right, there is no T-roll. The venue has changed, and you know what? We have a special guest.
Yes.
Except he's not a guest. He's an actual member of the podcast who's making his own return. We have Zach Markham. And we also have our returning talent who holds it down every single week, Anthony Amato, we like to call Shamato. Fellas, I feel very excited to say that Apple Zax has made his triumphant return after months of being in who knows where. He is back. So, ladies and gentlemen, Apple Zax. Dude, how's it going, man?
It's going great, dude. Back from the dead.
Yeah.
Back, baby.
So, what's been going on, man? You been good?
Yeah, I'm good now. So pretty much, I mean, if you guys want to know, I was in jail for smuggling drugs across Mexico. No, just kidding.
That'll get you every time, man.
They get me every time, dude. But no, I was going through like some health stuff with my heart. It kept getting like misdiagnosed as anxiety and like a panic disorder and stuff like that. And it wasn't until like January I had what's called an SVT attack. And this was the big one. Not a heart attack, but an SVT attack. So basically like my heart got up to like 220 like beats per minute. And like I had to call the paramedics. They showed up at my apartment door. Like I thought I was dying for real this time, you know, with all those near death experiences. And so they treated me. They got me on the proper medication. And I was already taking the anxiety medication, you know, beforehand. So, but yeah, man, once the heart medication kicked in, everything, you know, started, you know, getting back to normal. I do have like some PTSD from the whole thing because
makes sense.
Yeah, it was all traumatic events. So I'm getting the help I need, man, and I'm feeling good. You know, great to be back. And I just hope that the scariest chapter, you know, is behind me. But unfortunately, you know, the story, battle of mental health does go on. I'm just hoping I got through the worst part of it, you know?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate having you back. We really do, especially for some Star Wars content, man.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mandalorian Season 3.
Yeah. Kind of convenient.
Very
Yes.
very convenient that our resident Star Wars expert is back for Star Wars content.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. How about that, right? And episode 19.
Mm-hmm. Chapter 19.
Sorry. Yes, you're right.
Come on, bro.
Chapter 19, The Convert. We are going to go ahead and dive in here for our conversation. But before we do, a little business. Like and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube, or follow us on any one of your podcast catchers at Royal Geek Pod, Royal Geek Podcast. We appreciate you. We love you guys for listening. I'm actually shocked that as many of you listen as you do, but I really appreciate it. So all that aside, we're going to jump in with a spoiler warning for chapter 19 of The Convert of Mandalorian Season 3. So let's start off with like general impressions, okay? Shamato, a general impression of this episode.
I enjoyed the dive they took into this side path. Completely unexpected, you know, and I do feel like it was classic Mando style of it's a side mission in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You know, so but I did enjoy getting to see some extra stuff, getting to see Coruscant again was cool.
Yeah, that was pretty great, actually.
You know, I thought it was, you know, a really cool thing for them to pull in characters you've already seen and kind of thought you were done with, and, you know, kind of dive deeper into how they, you know, after interacting with the Mandalorian, how they ended up, you know, where they're at now.
Yeah, right. It was interesting with you talking about Dr. Pershing, right?
Pershing.
Like, yeah, when they did the recap or whatever, right?
Uh-huh.
And before the episode started, they emphasized Pershing his involvement, and I was like, "Huh, that's interesting. I wonder how that's going to contribute." But we got almost an entire episode dedicated to him and his work. So
yep,
that was
well, even like the Elia Kim, I think it was her name, or Elia Kim, Kane, sorry, she was. You only see her briefly, but she's in a small part.
That's true.
You know, in a previous season as well.
Yeah, Markham, what did you think of the episode?
I think you're right. It wasn't. I don't think it was like your average Mandalorian episode. I'm used to them, kind of going off and like doing like a side mission. But I feel like in this side mission, like the side mission didn't suck. So, with that being said, I've been hearing like a lot of people that have been saying that this episode has felt a lot more like Andor versus like Mandalorian and stuff, because of all the things that happened in it. But the one thing I did love in this episode is we got the intro like in the very beginning
Yeah.
with what happened in
For
the
sure.
previous episode, like with the mythosaur and everything.
Yeah.
I love how like Bo-Katan like is keeping that close to her chest because she
Yeah.
sees Mando as like a not a threat but like a competition. So she's trying to restore Mandalore and be like the rightful ruler and all that stuff. And then we get our side mission or whatnot, and then it comes back to what's going on in the story. So I'm just glad I didn't have to wait another episode to like see like where like Mando and then picked off on.
Yeah, I think if they didn't add that little piece at the end, I might have been a little bit disappointed in
Annoyed.
the way that. Yeah, that might be a better
Yes.
term. Annoyed
Yeah.
on how the episode did not carry on like with the Mandalorian.
I'm not gonna lie, I was gonna be very annoyed because the way they cut, I was like,
Oh, yeah.
"Are you kidding me? Are there about to be 10 minutes of credits? 10 minutes of credits?"
A little much. That's
I
a
would
little
have
much.
been very annoyed.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it was the end of the story, and then I was like, okay, they're gonna show us a little bit of Mandalorian because I was about to be real annoyed.
Yeah. So overall, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the episode. I don't think it was necessarily the best episode. I will say that opening scene with Mando and Bo and their dogfight in space and then on a planet and then just watching the vertical takeoff of the N1, like how incredible was that, right? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that whole scene was incredible. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I wanted to stay there a little bit longer. I just wanted to see what more. Like, why are they blowing up her castle? Like, what? I want to know. That's what I want to know right now. But
Yeah.
apparently we're gonna have to wait.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job like portraying that scene, just showing, like how good the two of them work together. It's like a partnership and everything. And, how much stuff they can get done.
Yeah.
Like it was awesome. I love the fact that, like they kept running into like Imperial like TIE interceptors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Like
yes.
who do you think it is, man? Who do you think it is? I have a guess.
I mean, I feel like it's. I mean, I feel it's got to be Gideon again, like in some form or fashion. Like this entire episode was them, in my mind, resetting up for. It could be a complete misdirect, and there could be a secondary name, and I might know where you're going with that, but it feels like they're at the very least trying to point at Gideon being back.
I think there have been too many name drops of Gideon to where
You think it is a
I mean,
misdirect?
I don't. I think I can see it being Gideon. I can see that. What I want it to be, I might say that for a little bit later, but well,
Would you say if it isn't Gideon, you'd be blue?
yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Spot on, my friend. Spot on. We'll get there though. We'll get there towards the end when we start doing some speculation. Okay, but as far as the episode goes, okay, I mentioned the vertical takeoff, right? So, Bo-Katan and Mando, they leave Mandalore, right? Which was a pretty weird scene, if I might say so, when they're in the mines of Mandalore and she's asking, what did you see? Did you see anything or anything like that? He's like, no, I like he's like kind of like I slipped. That's what I gathered. He's like, I slipped and I went all the way
Yeah.
down. I didn't realize it was that far down.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, come on. Like, you don't remember anything? Like, come on, help me out here. And she's just like looking back at the water and you can kind of see her gears processing. You can kind of be her like, oh my goodness, is all this stuff that I've been slandering for the past who knows how long? Like, is it all real? Like, is it all true? That kind of stuff, right?
I think I might also have like a secondary like point on that.
Go for it, man.
I
Yeah.
think maybe in a way she is kind of trying to figure out, did the mythosaur present itself to her? Was it like one of those like chosen one situations where the mythosaur purposely only showed himself to her? Like one of those kind of situations. Like so she's trying to figure out what she saw, if she saw was real, but also like if other people saw it as well. I think she's trying to figure out first of all, if it's real, but I think there's also a possibility of like, I think she has a bit of a like complex in the sense of like thinking that she's deserves this in some ways.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe possibly she's like kind of thinking along those lines as well.
I can see that.
I think I don't know. So I think that she wasn't expecting it. I think she knows like some sort of like old myth or like some childhood storytelling thing about a mythosaur still existing, but like locked like deep in, like in the crust of Mandalore. And she even mentioned like when he fell, he said he saw like the column of the structure like falling in front of me. And she said, it wasn't that shallow. It's because of the purge and the bombings.
Yeah.
So, which insinuates that something opened up. Mythosaur came out, and she saw the Mythosaur. She's like, "Oh, it is real. The legends were true. I could use this to my advantage and take back, Mandalore."
Interesting.
Because if she's able to tame that Mythosaur, the only thing that would be stopping her from like laying claim to her right would be the dark saber.
Yeah, I agree. It's gonna be interesting to see how that storyline plays out because just where we saw at the end. Like I want to get there a little bit later, but we'll get back to that topic. But moving on, they fly back to the Cavalli. Is that what it's called? Right, I believe.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, sounds right. We don't care. We're average Joes. Anyway, moving on. And so TIE fighters are on their tail, and she's like, I'm not gonna be able to land. You're gonna have to get out. And like he's like, sure thing. He jumps out. He's falling. I could have swore that he was gonna like take out a TIE fighter while he was falling with some sort of rocket.
That would have been super cool.
So cool.
I would have been. It would have been hilarious to just see him literally take it out with his suit.
Oh,
like
get the
like
best guard.
just
Yeah,
the
use
weight of the best guard
exactly.
just like tears through
it.
and
That
it's just
would've-
like
that would've
natural
been
like
sick.
velocity.
Yeah. But
That would have been sick.
But it was also sick seeing him just turn on his jetpack at just the right amount of time to slow him down enough to land, do like a little roll, I guess, and land, and then he hops in. But that vertical takeoff, man, oh my gosh, how epic was that, dude? He's sitting there, they're getting ready to annihilate him, and he just goes, boom, straight up. I'm like, holy crap, man.
Yep.
Pele did some work in that N1, man, I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
Yes.
dude.
But that scene was incredible. And then the just the fight scene that took place after that, the weaving and in and out, and the fact that they were so coordinated with their attacks.
Yeah.
It was great to see that. And you see all of the other ships coming in, and he's like, where is it coming from? Where are these ships coming from? I want to know. Like right now. This episode I wanted to know.
Yeah.
But we didn't. Instead, we get a cutaway scene of them going into hyperspace saying, I sent you coordinates, right?
Yes.
And then we get Dr. Pershing giving a speech about cloning.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, he's back. Where are we going here? What was your guys' thoughts when we saw Coruscant leading into Coruscant to Dr. Pershing?
In general, like with Dr. Pershing, I feel like he is very like honest in his like rebuking of the Empire and the remnants afterwards and that things. I feel like it was a truthful and honest like departure for him. Like it's very much like you see throughout history, even like real life history, where scientists, they sometimes get caught up in things they shouldn't be caught up in because those are the people sometimes who are willing to pay for your research. And I feel like for him, he was being presented as one of those scientists who was kind of pulled into this world, and he was willing to be a part of it because they were willing to, be a part of something that he felt like he could make a difference in the world by doing this research, even if it was under the control of somebody who may not be doing the right thing.
Yeah, and that theme kind of continued throughout the entirety of the episode because they were just like, will it benefit the New Republic? And he's like, yes, this thing will like save lives. And he gave the whole speech about if he could just replicated his mother's heart, I believe, then they would have been able to save her and think of all the good they can do. And then leading up to the like when he's being questioned or interviewed, and he's like, so the good of the New Republic oversees any and
Everything
all
else.
everything else. Yeah, and they're like, yes, it does. And that look in his eye, like I gotta do this research. And it was just interesting seeing that the fact that they had the amnesty quarters, like wherever they're staying, right?
Yes.
And they were all like defects of the Empire, and or not. I guess they're not defects anymore. I guess refugees. I guess.
Sort of. I think they're kind of in between. They're kind of like a mix between refugees and kind of POWs in a way. Like
Yeah.
that's how I kind of see them.
Yeah, because
Is
they're like you're confined to a certain perimeter and that kind of stuff.
and the fact that I feel like a lot of them were legitimately POWs. Like
Yeah.
they were originally they were taken from different
Empire, yeah.
things that I don't think all of them came willingly from the Empire. I think they were people who were potentially in positions where they could be helpful to the New Republic, and then they are attempting to correct the behavior, and then I'll potentially bring them in amnesty and use them.
Yeah, and I guess they call it the rehabilitation program, right? I believe.
I believe so.
Yeah. And so they're obviously doing some work with them to, which we see later on in the episode, to get them reestablished into the New Republic, which I found very interesting because I don't know, I just didn't picture the freedom that Luke, Leia, and Han were fighting for to kind of be so like, the mind flayer, like he said at the end, like that was like to be
No, it's
so
not.
like that.
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
exactly.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't picture that what they were fighting for turning into that.
yeah, and I've said this on on like other Star Wars content and stuff that we've covered. Sometimes the Rebel Alliance, the New Republic, like they're not always going to be the good guys. And so like the vibe I was getting from this scene or this little side mission or whatnot, is that they have spies to set up to make it look like that. Hey, let's get back into the Empire and do some Empire stuff, just so they could turn in their fellow friend or somebody who has bad intentions, all that kind of stuff. But I think it's because the New Republic is wanting to know what the Empire was searching, get their hands on it, and then use it how they think is going to benefit the good of the galaxy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of feel like
yeah.
Kane. Like I don't know.
Okay, so I feel there are a couple of possibilities with her, and like I understand what you're getting at there, but I think
Which is a possibility. It could happen. But
I think the first, of course, the most one of the possibilities, of course, that she's actually working for, working for someone else, whether it be Moff Gideon or somebody along those lines, and that she wanted to figure out what Pershing actually knows and things like that, and then she was going to wipe his mind. Or, I mean, I think there is a possibility that she actually is working for the New Republic, and maybe, who knows, especially with the fact that she said, this is a friend, I wanted to help, like, now, I think there's a possibility, like, what if this isn't the first time he's gone through this treatment? Because it says it wipes his mind. Like, what if he's cycling?
Dude,
Like-
that would be
Like,
that'd be very interesting.
and that's what she's doing, is she's wiping him to get him back to like a starting point and seeing if he's going to keep on
Getting to that
trying to
point.
do what he is doing. It would be kind of like an add-on to what you were kind of saying,
Kinda like-
about trapping people who are in like this Empire mindset,
right. Like
and
maybe,
see where they go with it.
Like maybe she's trying to get him to get to like a specific point of where like he remembers, or like in some sort of vital research, but they keep getting caught, and then she keeps having to play the part of, oh yeah, we caught him, let's turn him in, and then wipe his mind and start over, and then like, all right, we can't do this next time, let's try this.
I also think it's possible that she's working for Gideon, and Gideon kind of wanted him to be either like Gideon does not want anything that he knows to get out.
Right.
So her mission was to, wipe his mind.
Find out what he knows.
Yes, and then wipe his mind, and that's why she did what she did at the end.
So I think it's I don't know. I think it's pretty clear that she is working for somebody, whether it's New Republic or Empire. I think it's more likely going to be the Empire, or at this point, I guess New Order, potentially, or the startings of the New Order. And where I mean, I really think that she's working for them, and whether it's Gideon or somebody else, it's most likely going to be like the Emperor or somebody who directly under the Emperor at
Yeah.
this time. But I do think that that's what we're going to see, and I don't know. Okay, here's my thing: this whole side quest of the Doctor. If this is just a ploy to like retcon the sequel trilogies, and just because they mentioned cloning and the Emperor like trying to get his hands on cloning, and that paired with what's going on in the Bad Batch right now, like with cloning and the Kaminoans, and if this is all one big giant retcon to make the ending of Star Wars 9 make more sense, then I don't like this. Okay, then I don't like this at all. What I want this to actually do is to have a payoff. I want this to actually be more than just this episode. If they showed it, like because they showed it in this episode, I want it to be more than this episode. But
Yeah.
if this is just a one-off, just to kind of, oh, the Empire has their hands back on cloning technology because they gathered all the stuff, the tools that it needed, right, in the case that she now has.
Yeah.
Then I am not on board for that. I don't want them just doing this just to retcon that. I don't know. Thoughts?
I feel like there's a lot of fans out there right now that's very interested in the cloning and everything. I think more so to the facts. I mean, definitely not with episode 9 like in that garbage, but with the like I'm gonna say it again, like with people who like played like the Force Unleashed video games, in episode 2 or the second video game, Vader cloned Jedi. And it was like a huge research thing. Even though that stuff's not canon, it's still on the minds of Star Wars fans.
Yeah, it's on the verge of being canon.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll see.
Correct. Yeah, and so I really do hope that this is like a gateway into introducing that, and then hopefully Star Killer. Like there's rumors about him becoming canon. I've been hearing other things.
Right.
Just so we can get like that aspect of everything, because it is very intriguing. And who knows, they might do both. It might be like in order to get that part of the storyline and introduce that into the Star Wars universe, and to kind of clean up episode 9's mess.
Yeah. So I don't know, Shimano, how you feel about that one?
I mean, I think they're trying to create more things that are politically intriguing inside the universe.
Yeah.
Like, because I think you can see with the way they went with Andor.
Yeah.
That they're trying to kind of do those kind of things that are sort of not always directly related to the Jedi and things like that, in the sense of, you don't always need a force wielder or someone shooting a blaster,
kind of making
for
it a
things
bigger
to be
scale,
interesting.
right?
Yes.
A bigger scale of the
like
universe.
You're getting a more like well-rounded view of the universe in a lot of ways. So I think that's really cool that they're doing that. I mean, they have been mentioning cloning quite a bit, even down to and Boba Fett. Think about how many times they showed Kamino. Just like to show you, even though that's a big part of his storyline, but it's also like, hey, cloning,
to keep it in mind, everybody.
Yes, like it's you didn't necessarily need those random scenes where you see the ship fly away on the planet of Kamino. So I feel like they are trying to potentially just keep that in our mindset.
Yeah, I agree.
Of what is potentially going on.
Interesting, man. So yeah, we'll see where this actually ends up panning out in the storyline of Mandalorian. But we do touch base with them again as they come out of the space, and they land on the planet where the Mandalorians have found a second home, I guess, in this cave.
Yep.
And I loved how they were approaching, and he said it's best if you just leave your helmet on, make things a lot easier. And when he said that, I immediately had the thought of like, holy crap, she bathed in the waters and she didn't take her helmet off, so technically she's redeemed, and here she goes. And then later on in the episode, we see and the armorer straight up tells her, you're redeemed too. You didn't take your helmet off. You may not believe this, but guess what? You are, and we welcome you. And I found it very intriguing that you can't see any faces. It's all masks and helmets and armors and everything like that, right? And the armor tells Bo-Katan, like, you're redeemed. And you're one of us and you're welcome. They're all patting her, giving her like
Yes.
side hugs and.
So I'm not gonna lie, it kind of reminded me of like a greeting at church.
No,
Yeah.
for sure.
Like,
I got
it-
that.
like 100%.
Yes.
I got that
Yes.
vibe.
You 100% get that vibe, but you
1000%.
also get you get that vibe 100%. Trust me, but you also get the vibe that she kind of likes that.
I mean, I think she kind of does in some ways because she likes the idea of belonging. And
She's
but
kind of rebuilding her people. Like
Yes.
if she can somehow turn them to join her cause, then she's kind of reestablishing herself.
yeah, and I think she does kind of understand like the idea that this outside group can become a launching board towards getting everything back that
Right.
she wants.
Exactly.
In the sense of, I feel like she purposely, she knows to play the role that she needs to. And I think that kind of comes from the fact of, even though she was kind of the more rebellious of the family, but she understands like being a princess is a very generally in the Star Wars universe is a political position a lot of times more than it is the kind of like Disney princess view that we think of when we think of a princess.
Right.
We think of it's more of a political position, even like down to like Queen Amidala that was actually a political position. Even Princess Leia was very
politically involved,
related. So I do think she understands like the political responsibilities and how to play those roles, and she doesn't have to say things. She could have just been like, you know what, and just took off her helmet and been like, I'm not a part of this.
Right, she could have. You're right.
Or she could have just straight up said, no, I'm not a part of this. Even Armor was like, hey, in our eyes, we're a part of you. She'd be like, I don't want to be a part of your cult.
Yeah.
Like, she could have just been like, no,
Yeah.
I'm good.
I didn't get the vibe that she liked it. I got the vibe that she could use it. And like with that being said, like everything's like lining up like dominoes, man. Like for her and like Dinjarin to like, go head to toe where they're competing, for the title. I feel like that's what it's going to end up to.
Yeah, but I feel like Mando doesn't really care. He only cares about Grogu. Like that's all he cares about.
He cares now because he's redeemed. And he's got Grogu. Like there is no more mission to get him back to his people. Like
yeah,
Grogu's a little Mandalorian, man. They're gonna make him a helmet.
I really wish they do.
They're
man.
gonna put it
I
on.
wanna
Like,
see
that would be
I wanna see that.
hilarious.
That'd be awesome.
And
I don't even know how you make that helmet for those years, man.
Yeah, dude. And did you guys see like all the Mandalorian armor and everything? Did you guys recognize it?
Go on. No.
All right, dude. The one Mandalorian that I saw, I promise you that the person underneath that helmet is Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, yeah?
Wait.
It's
I
gotta
did
be,
not
dude.
expect that at all. Dude, what? Explain that.
No, there's no explanation. It's just it is what it is.
What in the
Yeah.
claims are you making over here?
Misa the way, bro. Misa the way.
That is insane. All right,
but
so,
no, but
yeah,
This was after his career as a Sith.
yeah.
it's a natural progression of things. That's all it is. He went from senator, right? Wasn't he a senator in the
Yes.
last we saw him?
Yes, he was a
Senator
senator.
to Darth Binks to then Mando Binks.
Mando
Yeah.
Binks.
So, gosh, man, I can't believe we got there.
Yeah, dude.
So, who blew up her castle? Right? Like that's the question moving into the next episode, which I have a sneaking suspicion that that's not going to get answered this episode. I really do.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. So, who I think it is who you alluded to earlier, and who I believe you were alluding to earlier, but I could be wrong. But it's definitely
you want to
Thrawn.
do it?
It's Thrawn, right?
I was gonna say we'll
Thrawn.
say it on 3, but yeah, Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah.
Because here's the reason why, dude. Here's the reason why. That blowing up of the castle was way too personal.
I felt like that same thing. Yes.
Yeah.
I did.
Like it's one thing to like chase you and capture you, but like first of all, they were chased by like 5 or 6, TIE interceptors.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Like we could fight them. We can get back to the ship, dogfight those. That's fine. But then they get back. He gets to a ship. They take a couple out, and then boom, coming up on her castle.
Yeah,
her family,
right.
her family castle, right? Blow to bits.
Oh,
man.
for sure.
Smithereens.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the cavalry comes in. Like, dude, this was way like well too orchestrated.
Personal. It was very
Yeah,
personal.
This was personal.
And so then I got to thinking, like, I got the feeling it was personal. And so then I was like, well, what could that be, right? And it's got to be Thrawn, right?
The only reason why I don't think it was Gideon is because it didn't. I mean, it happened to Mando, but it wasn't intended for Mando. This happened to Bo-Katan.
Yes. This was a deliberate attempt on Bo, is what I felt like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also saw some stuff going around.
Okay, a potential, like, I'm not saying this is what it is.
Yeah.
But whose ship was parked there?
Mando's ship was parked there.
So maybe it was meant for
Mando. and
Mando.
not Bo.
He knew that Mando's ship was there, so he assumed Din Djarin was there as well, and that's why he bombed the castle.
But do they? But I'm trying to remember. But do they even know that the N1 belongs to Mando now?
Moff Gideon wouldn't know that.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I was just throwing that out there as
Yeah.
a possibility.
That's good. That's good.
But I mean, if it's Thrawn, that would be phenomenal.
Another thing, Ahsoka's right around the corner this year at some
Right.
point, and so he's rumored to have a massive involvement there. So what better way to introduce the character to the live action universe than in Mandalorian? So
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's a strong possibility.
I think what's going to end up happening is like we're going to get to like the end of season 3, and then they're just going to drop Thrawn as like a preview, you know. Because what's after Mandalorian 3? Is it Ahsoka?
I believe it's Ahsoka.
I think so, yeah.
And then Skeleton Crew after that, or actually, it might be Skeleton Crew and then Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So it'll be a nice little like character introduction.
I think so. And then and
Cliffhanger.
Mandalorian is, I don't know, it's kind of been known for like intertwining series with Boba Fett and
Yeah.
Mandalorian having like a very solid.
Oh yeah, they were basically the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
They
so
are not the same
The best part of Boba Fett was Mandalorian. Like that
Yeah.
was that was the case.
Well, I mean, there's always a joke that Boba Fett is just season 2.5 of Mandalorian.
Right, correct. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like this next episode has a lot to make up for. Because what was left on the table, like this last episode, they left a lot on the table. I think, and I
mean-
really want that picked up.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of faith, though. I mean,
Yeah.
when you actually go back and watch season 1 and 2 of Mandalorian, especially, you're like, oh, yeah, there was these entire side missions. Like, I mean, we remember them, but it's also like, but then they got really good content in as well. Like, they balance it well enough to where you're like, okay, you're okay with it. Like, in the moment, lots of times you're not okay with it because you watch an entire episode and you're like, you kind of get like that knot in your stomach a little bit because you're like, well, they just wasted, quote unquote, potentially like 75% of an episode on something that isn't related to this, and we only have 8 episodes. And the more and more, I mean, not to to throw, but the Marvel content, we get these like moments where you get tense and you're like, because you just don't feel like they're gonna have enough time.
Rushed.
But so far, Mandalorian has done a really good job of, they have these side missions, but they're also very much, they keep themselves in line.
Yeah. So one of the feelings I had after watching this episode was like, oh, that was actually a very intriguing, very fascinating storyline with the Doctor.
Oh yeah,
And
I
then-
really enjoyed it.
And then I was like, but what the heck is that going on with Mando, man? Bring me back to Mando. Like, I was just like enraged. Like, okay, that was cool. Nice little fun side story, but get me back to the freaking action, man. You give me a cool dogfight in the beginning, and then you don't give me anything else until the end. And like, come on.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I do not care about Pershing like at all.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
like we got the little sob story, man, that sucks, about his mom, but
Yeah.
I'm not here to watch that, dude. I'm here to watch Mando. Like, if they do, like, figure out the whole, I get it. They have to, pursue a story, pursue a lead.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, that's what I'm saying. It better mean something. Like, the fact that we are here looking at Pershing and everything that he's dealing with, it better mean something in Mandalorian's life.
Maybe it means nothing about Pershing. Maybe it's about Kane.
Yeah.
Maybe this is about, building up the story of whoever's going to be the right-hand person of Thrawn. Like whoever's going to be, or maybe, they're going to build up something where maybe she's a certain agent that we, maybe they're going to redo the storyline of a certain agent that we know.
I don't know, man.
Interesting.
Maybe it'll mean something, when they make it important. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Like when they finally, make a certain something canon, then it'll probably mean something to me. But as of right now, get that junk out of here, dude. It's Mando time.
Exactly. That was my thought, but yeah, I mean, I still thought it was intriguing at least. So.
Oh yeah, I definitely found myself like kind of really pulled into the story.
Right.
There was some really cool stuff in there. Although I felt like Pershing was exceedingly naive.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
But yeah,
one of the scenes that stood out to me was immediately after he gave his presentation. And he's walking down the stairs, and he's having the conversation with the one dude. And then three people interrupt him in a row, and he never goes back to finishing his thought with the one guy he was talking to. And that just kind of stuck with me. And it was just like, that guy's never going to finish that story about with Pershing and what they were talking about. And it was a weird interaction. It just, I don't know. Everyone was gravitating. Oh, your work is amazing. Like, good job. Like, you struggled so much. You suffered.
Boo.
Like, yeah. I don't know. It was an interesting scene, but that one just kind of stood out to me.
yeah.
But I mean, any other final thoughts on this episode you guys had?
Nah, man.
Yeah. I just hope we do get a full Mando episode next week. I really do.
I mean, the only thing that I would say is like, I have a feeling that those Star Destroyers are not, they are not incapacitated.
And I would believe that too. Okay, how about not a full Mando episode? How about a reverse ratio? How about that? Is that better? 75% Mando and 25% whatever the heck's going on with Kane and Pershing.
Yeah.
I will say something. All right, and I just thought about it on the fly. Okay, something that was a little weird that I think all three of us overlooked. Right before they were attacked by those TIE fighters, Grogu babbled something, and it felt like Mando and Bo-Katan just kind of looked at him in shock.
Interesting.
And it was right after, like, he said, "This is the way."
Do you think he said "this is the way" in his language, or
maybe, or he said something?
Are his first words going to be "this is the way"?
I think so, dude.
Buy or sell?
I think it's already. I'll buy that. I'm gonna buy that.
Yeah. Shimano, buy or sell? His first words are going to be "this is the way."
Sure. I think it'll be very interesting.
I'm selling that. I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be.
that?
I think it's going to be Daddy Pedro Pascal. That's what I think. But maybe I don't know,
dude. Man, I wish I was a little kid and
Anyway, I think that's a good place to stop before we get any more out of control. Anyway, so appreciate you guys listening or watching. Follow us, like, subscribe, all that fancy stuff on YouTube. Follow us on all our socials. We got Instagram. We got some fun stuff going on Instagram right now. If it's March Madness, go ahead and check out the Anime Madness we got going on there. These two are not involved, but me and the other bros are definitely doing our thing. So,
cool.
At Royal Geek Pod, follow us, and we really appreciate you guys for listening. Special shout out to Applezax for returning to the podcast. We look forward to having more and more content with you in the near future.
Yeah, man.
So
glad to be back. I'm also on Twitch.
That's right.
If you guys want to see me on Twitch, just comment and I'll give out my info.
Yes, there you go. He's building a pretty massive following on Twitch. So
yeah, it's getting pretty big.
Hitting the double digits.
So for the gamers out there, this is your guy. All right.
Yeah, man.
We cover all things Royal Geek, man. We got the gamers, we got the anime dweebs or weebs, and then we got Shimato, the movie freaks, and the TV freaks. So, and then we got T-Roll, who is just the lovable T-Roll host, who we all love.
Yeah, dude.
His innocence in all these shows that we corrupt him with. Anyway, I've said enough. For Sandy, Applezax, and Shimato, thank you so much for listening to the Royal Geek Podcast, and we will see you next time, you peasants.